There was um a whole entire montage worth of stuff put on YouTube. I never watched the second season a few years back. It was a whole entire season called the Ultimate Self Defense Championship, where a MMA coach, um, karate school instructors, two different self defense people, and a literal MMA champion pretty much was put in these different scenarios of everyday stuff and see how well they would fare and do against stuff from random people getting into a fight or de-escalating a situation in the movie theater where your supposed significant other is bothered by the jerk next to you that won't shut up and being too loud in the theater. Or it wasn't even just fighting stuff. Some of it was simple, like, oh, all of a sudden you get called into your office and your female boss like makes advances of you. How do you respond to that? It was mostly more towards martial arts based. There were a few things random. Now there was one just done for the fun of it. That was a zombie apocalypse episode. Being together as a group and defending against that. Because everybody loves zombies. I think. So there was that. And at the end, the dude that was a dude that currently does MMA, Jeff Chan Shredder, he won the competition of how many points he earned in each individual event closest to the ending of it. The one that was a runner-up closest to him would have won the event if he had won that competition was Sensei Seth. Sensei Seth is almost about the same similar size and build as me. We're about the exact same height. Weight may vary. We both do karate. Now, I just have a little bit of karate knowledge. Practice. Bloody mother. Sorry, mates. Gravity. Wanted to mess up my vid there. Okay? So it made my phone fall. I ain't got it on the world's best setup. It's still recording though. He has done karate since a young kid. I didn't start really actually coming to my dad like, hey, I want to learn what you learned when you took karate. I was like in my early 20s. Only done it 100% straight. Like, just straight stay with it for 6 months. And I do it here and there. I look at different videos and different martial arts online and try to very hardly study certain movements to apply to it. I was also friends with boxers down the road. My dad, their dad, the older brother was a 4-time silver glove. The younger was a golden glove. The younger one was a 4-time silver glove. Their dad almost went professional. My dad was one of the top people in his class at his old karate school, Tetsuken Ryu, from Joe Strickland. He's the former Iron Fish's fancy name. But anyway, the main point, it wasn't just that I'm trying to promote karate, but I think also a lot of Sensei Seth has dabbled in probably almost 100 different martial arts also besides karate. That's his main one. He has trained with multiple different times to get better, to make his own stuff, to add to his karate, to make him as a martial artist himself better. Now, I am a martial skills practitioner. I am not a martial artist. I do not go in competition with people. I do not test myself against people. I just like enjoying movements. Okay? And in relation to that, I still think they are realistic movements in karate that could work. In my opinion, and also the biggest Sensei said is as a nerd factor too, of him understanding how to use his weight and be a former football player before that. Probably gave him the most best advantage. Just like with this one video, people lifting weights, the biggest dude in the room done the best. It's kind of obvious. You got to be extremely higher over skilled. And the position in which he won against Sensei Seth was the one that Jeff Chan got lucky to apply his knowledge that Sensei Seth was not aware of was happening at the time, which is why he most likely won. It was very close. Now, does that mean if you'd have ran that back done it differently and that Sensei Seth would have beaten him without ease? No, it does not. Karate gives you 3 things. A decent stance, a decent punch, a decent kick. That is the main 3 structures. You have very traditional, old style karate that is real low. It's real low. Most of the weight on the back leg is real low. Hands are up, everything else 50-50. Some, it might be a little bit more straight, pretty much, but I put more weight on my front leg on my back leg straight. I like it. So it's more down that way. I like both knees bent. I like where I can bring a little bit. I like it like that. I don't get in that position. I prefer, and technically, if you look at my top 2 favorite boxing YouTubers that describe boxing, Tony Jeffries. If you look at theirs, and Marvin Cook, their thing on the pure boxing style stance. And I'm so used to my feet being together. I don't care if it's together. I don't care if one's further back. You know, that one right there, that one's not terrible, but I prefer more of the weight, pretty much, on that back leg. Either way, I always prefer more weight on the back leg. I'll either bring this knee down more, or I will sink the weight of that hip more to this side, and I will have that, pretty much. I'm a little bit more closer this time, and from a normal stance, I will be closer. A lot of times, me standing around, I just have most of my weight on one side anyway. I usually most of the time do most on this side. I just leave my right forward, and I do my left. I'd always be standing in the way, anywhere out, knee bent, hip drop back, and just no weight on this leg. But a gentle straight up, right here. 50-50, there you go. More weight on the back one, more weight on the back one. And if you're a little bit more closer, as soon as I bring that right there and a little bit more close, it ain't gotta be perfect. As long as you have something that weight even enough of your shoulders, either way, that's good enough balance. Now, if you feel that's not good enough balance, you need to go a little bit lower, but you can still hopefully get some weight off that one right there to advance forward, or to move, or whatever else. That's fine. I used to love the front snap kick, but it's still, I like most people, lower down. Lower down. My way, I did my chain right here. This is where my arm comes out straight. That's why I call it backwoods karate. There are some that say here, some go up there. Right here to there, that is the natural way your body will punch. Martial arts teach you a little bit extra than the natural way of your body movements to make a little more better, to improve you, okay, to actually feel for some form of physicality. Martial arts just means a warlike art, so for combat, okay? Or whether you prefer to hit with the vertical fist with 2 knuckles or 3, either or. I don't like bringing it all the way up and then going out. I like firing off from your at. I like firing off where you're at, right here, instead of practicing way down here. Our hands naturally come up, tilt your chin, bring them together, go sideways, there you go. It's already 50-50. That's how I look at that. Just more weight back here, pretty much. Like I said, I like having that back one this way. I can put more weight this way. And opening that back leg up, that opens my hips up. I can put more weight back here. I can still move. Some people, they're so used to regular walking, heel to toe, that's kind of odd to them. My feet already stick out a little bit. I'm used to the weight being on my foot. I can walk both balls at the feet just fine. I can walk, either or. I like Marvin's Cook thing where he's talking about if you're going too much with your rear foot, eventually you're going to be going the wrong way. So make sure they're in unison. Make sure they're in unison. If I'm looking at this, I think this is an actual opponent, pretty much. Shoulders, arms. If I can touch them, they can touch me. If I go in for something, they can go in for something. That's why I gotta have that step, whatever step, or step right there, come into cover, boom, try to move another way, jab, or I'm trying to jab, cover, or jab, step. I'm so far away, you gotta hop, you gotta jump, boom, or pretty much step, clear out. Now I'm back away from that distance. I spend so much time beginning just standing from the back, boom, boom, pretty much, boom. But later I could get to walking. I have one video where I do it okay, I have one video where I do it pretty good. It depends on the zone I'm in. Like I said, karate, decent stance, decent forward straight punch. I used to be in this position right here. Used to be that way. I done that more like a jab that time, pretty much. But anyway, from down here to there, put more. The more I turn this way, it's hard to turn it that way. I done more style than I used to, where everything was straight. I do more turning. I do more Jeet Kune Do where it turns in than I used to, pretty much. Because everything used to be boom, slight little turn from here to there. And then my power side, when I used to do my left and my power, it'd always be halfway when I came in. If you ain't got that good little flick, that's not terrible. Pretty much, boom. But also, I used to have good hip mobility. I'd stand there, I'd always use more pullback of the shoulder. Use your shoulder more than you think. When you're moving and you're trying to throw, I say use your shoulder less of your hips. If you got something lined up and you can be in a stagnant position, besides getting your foot behind it, dip down that hip. Use that hip rotation. I'm not saying you can never use your hip rotation while moving, but if you ain't, of course, you got better flexible hips than me, pretty much. From your hip flexion, the actual hip area when it comes to your torso, I say pull back a shoulder. Plus, it helps align this better. It helps align that. So pretty much, boom, right there. But instead of going at a lower one, because the natural position, the higher you go on this way with your fingers. That's, of course, a new way I practice punching. That's kind of made up diagonal. Not vertical, not horizontal. Diagonal. That's, of course, you've already got that wrist in position before hitting. More martial arts style, got it locked in good. And from your hand taking over, now there's a solid piece that's locked in, and the rest is going with your arm. You're going to hurt yourself. That's, of course, you do a more boxing style and you bring that shoulder up, which now dictates where your knuckles are at. But anyway, like I said, decent punch, whether you're standing parallel, square, the front snap kick is not terrible. Now, as close as if I want to bring it up more, like into me, I can get it more that way. Bring it more that way, a little bit closer. So you're chambering back to you or chambering out. But still, that's slight little bit difference, okay? Because I'm really trying to do this traditional one. Right here, that goes, boom, just like that. Spear type thing, that's how you're supposed to do it. Boom. That's the traditional way. Well, if I'm closer and I ain't got time, I want to put some actual force behind, I can't really do that. Kind of like I'm trying to do a stomping style or Wing Chun style. I will bring it up and I'll hit with my heel. So I'm still flicking up with it, like from right here. As I'm doing that, this side right here will compress on the ground